All right, well, afternoon and welcome once again to Gaming Under the Influence. I'm Mike here with Alex, coming to you guys from GreenDragonCVR in Woodbridge, Ontario to talk to you about video games for the first time in a couple of weeks. It's good to be back.
Seems like it's been a while, man.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Things are pretty good.
Nice.
Dabbling in a few new and interesting things since I kind of tapered off the survival games a couple of weeks back.
Your hardcore addiction of survival games that you've been
now I'm still playing those, but only a little bit, maybe 1 or 2 nights a week. Now I'm trying to play other things, like I'm playing Observer. I got back into Hellpoint, which you see before you here.
Yeah.
So they released a new update for it, so that's pretty exciting.
Fuck, watching this footage makes me want to play it like immediately.
Yeah, it's
it looks
definitely worth
really
it, bro.
sick.
It's a beautiful game. The DLC is probably pretty sick too. I haven't even gotten the opportunity to check out what's in it yet.
Nice.
Hope to see that soon. What are you playing?
Very nice. I'm playing a mishmash of a bunch of shit. Still slogging through Final Fantasy 2, which I admittedly am not enjoying as much as I did of 1.
You
so
that. That's interesting, eh?
Trying to get through it because I want to continue on and go through 3, 4, 5, 6.
Sure, yeah.
Going through that shit there. But what else? I've been playing just a little bit of Gran Turismo 7, kind of just noodling around. That's not really anything worth going into, but there was something else, and now it's escaping me. Something on the Switch. Xenoblade Chronicles 1. Yes.
Oh, yeah,
I have been also playing that as per usual, playing 3 or 4 different things in one time. I even started a new game in Pokemon Blue the other day and was just noodling around there.
Which edition of it on Switch?
On the 3DS. That game's actually not available on the Switch in any manner yet.
Really?
Yeah. They don't have Game Boy games or any of that shit on the online stuff, but I can still play them on the 3DS, so that's cool. It was mostly noodling around when I took that trip to the States the other day, and we, I was in the hotel kind of just catching Pokemon and naming them after which state we were in and shit.
Nice.
I got Kentucky Bug. Or
Nice.
Caterpie, just being an idiot, but it's
fucking
been all right.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, Xenoblade is dope.
Yeah, that one is pretty good.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Looking forward to the new one next week, and to Bear and Breakfast as well.
Bear and Breakfast, yes.
Fuck yeah, summer's finally.
If you haven't seen Bear and Breakfast yet, please look it up right now and just revel in all its weird glory. Like, it just looks amazing. It's like Stardew Valley on drugs or something. I don't know.
It is. Where you're a bear for some reason.
Like a fucking civilized bear or something.
I wonder what the motive behind it being a bear is, How strange.
Yeah, who knows?
But I'm glad to play that. In the meantime, though, I figured today we could talk about something that's been on my mind a little bit lately. I'm sure you're going to sympathize with it too, because you're like me, you don't finish probably most of the stuff you start.
You know it.
What's the point of finishing a game? Or perhaps, this is just like maybe a different way of asking the question of why we play games at all, but is there a reason to finish every game we start?
Yeah, is it necessary to complete everything? Yeah,
do we have to finish a game because we started, or to understand it, or to get the point of it? I think that's what I'd like to talk about today, because we kind of take for granted in our current, in the current climate around games and the conversation surrounding it, that finishing the thing is the point of fucking getting it at all, right?
I guess, yeah, that logically makes sense.
Yeah, and, people who, on the one hand, like when reviewers don't finish a game before they review it, they're probably, correctly disparaged for that fact.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
We think of games without an ending as sort of having a selling point. Games with an ending lack because of that,
Yeah.
Just saying that, fucking getting to the end, or the lack of an end, or a relationship to some determinate end in time is how we really conceive of games in our
it would
relationship to
feel
them, right?
incomplete without one, right?
Yeah, it's
without
like reading
some
a book.
kind of conclusion. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you got to get to the end, is this necessary, right? Is there a point in finishing a game all the time? Or is finishing a game necessary to understanding it? I guess to getting the point of it is probably how I would, approach this, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, what do you think, man?
I mean, obviously it largely depends on what kind of game. Something like a novel style.
Yeah, what's your intuition? What do you
player, but
do you you don't finish everything you start? I don't either.
I don't,
right?
but it's because
why do you think that is?
I feel like I get bored. I can't get through it. It doesn't interest me, or maybe we just play too many games. There's just kind of a lot of things we can.
I think there's something to especially one of those things, right? That it gets boring, right? And what is if we unpack that a little bit, I think it'll really get at the heart of this issue, right? the fact of the matter is, like, the narrative is not really the point of any fucking work of art, if it even has a narrative at all. Like, a painting doesn't have a fucking narrative. You know, you can think of many games that probably don't really have narratives as we understand them, right? Like, the point of, you know, fucking something like a game or a painting or a novel, broadly speaking, a work of art, is to fucking be a new thing in the world, right? Like, it's a creature born in the fucking head of the guy who came up with it, you know? Right. And its purpose is to attract you, to be beautiful, right? Like, to have some intelligible form that when your intellect is apprehending it, when you're in the presence of it, it delights you by its intelligibility.
You latch onto it, right? You want to,
for its own inner reasons, not because it does something good for you, but for its own inner reasons, it's enjoyable, it's beautiful, right? Like,
right.
It has intelligibility that you can appreciate as good, just for its own sake, you know? This being the case, fucking everything else about the game, well, you know, it's that thing that, anyways, that's the art, right? It's the fucking thing that the guy conceives in his head, the fucking, his new creature. That's really like the fucking heart of the matter. And everything that we see outside the guy's head, like the visual symbols of a fucking painting, or a fucking, the words in a novel, or the sounds and the fucking graphics of a video game, all of this is like a symbol, add extra, like outside the thing, to allow us to access the guy's concept, because we're not fucking psychic, right? We're not angels. We don't trade ideas like clearly between each other's heads. So we need to wade through we're fucking,
just taking it in, right?
We need to wade through the thickets of matter here, through sensory images and stuff like that, right? But just like the fucking stuff you see is not the point, it's a sign of the guy's idea, which is the point, right? That thing that you're going to enjoy, and enjoy its intelligibility and think it's beautiful, I was just saying, you know? It's precisely the guy's idea. It's like the thing that is the living fucking form behind all of the symbols and fucking sensible stuff you see, like, let's say on the screen when you're watching a movie or when you're playing a game, right? Like, you're accessing that idea, and the narrative is just as much a tool to do that as the graphics are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The thing having this like temporal like sequence to it. That sequence is no more fucking essential to the concept than one or another of the colors the guy uses to depict a fucking fauna or flora in the game, right? It's instrumental too. So I guess what I'm getting at is, if the point is to fucking understand the fucking concept behind the thing, and just like fucking graphics, you know, the narrative is instrumental. Like, nobody would say, well, you didn't see every tree in the game, therefore you don't understand it, right?
You didn't fucking go to every
those things are instrumental, right?
They're in every town of every...
That's right. Like, we're mistaking the accidents for the substance of the thing, I guess I'm trying to say, when you say you don't understand the game or appreciate it or fucking know it because you haven't finished it. Like, maybe like there is a game where the narrative is the fucking heart of the thing. I'm just saying, like, insofar as we consider these terms, they're not the same thing. And for that reason, we have good reason to say, like, A, you could probably fucking understand the concept of a game such as it is without finishing the narrative. And on the other hand, maybe you appreciate that a narrative sucks ass, or that the concept sucks ass, and therefore you don't want to finish the narrative in the first place, right? Like, given that the narrative is always instrumental to the concept, you could appreciate the concept without it, and you could appreciate the concept as bad and therefore disregard the narrative, right? This is why I think maybe finishing games is not the point of playing a game at all, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
Probably it'll, you know, usually those two things will go together. I mean, oftentimes when you really like a game and it's fucking beautiful and it attracts you.
Yeah, you want to see it through, right?
You see it through, but like, I'm just saying they're not the same thing, right?
Right.
And for that reason, like, I think maybe that's why I don't finish most of the games I play, because I understand the concept. I
hardly do.
You know, and the concept, and by the time especially, bro, this is a huge thing. Like, games like fucking Ghost of Tsushima, you know, or fucking Assassin's Creed Valhalla, let's say. The fucking concept is fucking clear, like 15 hours in. Like, you got that, you know all there is to know about that game.
Yeah.
Everything you're going to be doing now is different permutations of the same
thing, and it's just sort of the narrative unfolding. But that's where I feel like maybe there's like a focus problem, where like there's too many either slogs of gameplay to get through to see a narrative get through, where you shouldn't maybe really have to do that, or it feels bloated. Then you get like a game like B Rising, let's say, for example, just to jump into the survival genre. There's no cutscenes, there's no shit like that. It's all sloggy gameplay, but that is the fucking
systemic, right? Like, that's the kind of game it is. That's
purpose,
exactly right.
So maybe there's just too much of a blend of things going on that don't like, I don't know, maybe they just don't gel together. Like, I don't know how to explain it.
Well, I think though, like,
You know?
the interesting thing with the survival game is there is no finishing a survival game. Like,
True, that is also
it's,
true.
It's got like these persistent systems that are supposed to just be self-justifying. Like you just
Right.
expand and keep mastering the world. You build always
Plus,
build a
they're
new base,
they're
right?
kind of like the types of games that are usually, you know, because it's even like an early access, that are constantly being worked on. So maybe they add bosses.
No,
throughout. So
true,
even
for
if you
sure.
complete them, they'll add more, and then
But
you
it
know,
just
even
goes
like
to show, though,
Valheim
wouldn't you
and
say
stuff.
that the idea of a game is separate than fucking a narrative or finishing a narrative? They don't
Yeah.
have to have those parts. And like you can fucking enjoy a game without finishing it,
Right.
without a narrative, without any sort of temporal sequence to anything, right? Like these two things aren't the same necessarily, you know?
That's fair to say.
I think it's fucking important to separate those two things. And I think in games like fucking Valhalla, as you know, V Rising, it's true too. You appreciate the concept, but like you fucking, you literally just fucking like, you sit there and enjoy, like,
Yeah.
you enjoy immersing yourself in its intelligibility,
Right.
right? Like the accidents serve that concept, the sensory bits and the gameplay, and you're like, fuck yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like it's obese, right? It's fucking,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
proportion to it, I guess, you know? This guy fucking that I refer to all the time here, Maritan, he talks about like these things called the fucking conditions of beauty. It's like kind of like the geometrical fucking way that, you know, when you say something is beautiful, it'll have these fucking characteristics, like as part of that, right? It will have fucking proportion, harmony, and fitness. Like its parts will be fit for it. Like they won't be like an arm sticking out of its fucking leg socket, you know? There'll
Yeah,
be fitness. There'll be proportion. There won't be an arm that's too big. And there'll be fucking harmony. Everything will work together
works.
for the sake of the whole, right? And I think
Feels good.
we say like fucking V Rising, we can say it definitely has these characteristics, like even though it's big, even if it's fucking hundreds of hours long,
Yeah.
there's proportion. Like the fucking concept is well served by the fucking breadth of the thing. You know, that's what you do in a survival game. You
Yeah.
work through the systems in the world. That's its purpose, right? Like that
You
is
sort
the
of
concept.
optimize and,
Yeah.
and build and develop.
And there's no
a
finishing it.
lot.
It's just that's
Yeah.
the logic of the thing. Whereas Assassin's Creed, like I fucking frankly, I don't know what the fucking, you know, I mean,
could
I don't
never
know
get
what its
through
logic is.
a
Its
modern
concept is
Assassin's
just.
Creed.
It seems to me like, you know how we talked before about how 2.5 Men is just something to rest your eyes on when you
Yeah.
watch TV.
Kinda
It
the
feels
same
like the
thing.
people making these games nowadays, like they fucking even feel that about their own work. They're like, it's about this guy and like his story, but
But
and
there's
then
so
you do this
much
and you do
gameplay.
that.
Like it's a slog. Like that game's over 100 hours, I think,
Yeah.
if you really wanted to get into all of it. And that's
Yeah.
just like,
yeah.
it's just too much. Like I appreciate the world building. There's a lot probably to revel in that's impressive, but it's also, like you said, like how can you justify like finishing, or just to say that, like, you know, is it required to finish a game like that? Jesus Christ, it takes fucking forever, and you've seen and done everything.
That's exactly right.
It's
Yeah.
like, what?
It feels like, unlike the fucking the parts having proportion and they're being suited to the fucking concept, it feels like the concept really, like, it was done 15 hours in, bro. We understand the
Yeah.
world. It's about some fucking hawk-kneed, like, fucking fuck. I'm trying to describe these people without insulting them. It's very difficult for me. Okay.
Yeah,
Bear with me.
it's
It's some like
Yeah.
just it's some fucking, you know, modern cafeteria interpretation of mythology. Well, actually, they're this science fictional race of advanced intellectuals, and they go back in time. You see, like it's exactly like with God of War. I just
Yeah.
feel like I understand what you're doing, bro.
Yeah.
I understand what you're doing, and I don't like it at all. It's stupid as
fair
fuck.
enough,
You know,
yeah.
and past that, why should I hash out these forms? You know, why should I go through the actions this character is performing? Right, like the same actions, mind you, that fucking are in every fucking game of
in
that
every
genre
single
right now.
AAA
you know?
third person, whatever,
Yeah.
you know. But it's unfortunate to me that, like, you know, there's so much going on, and in a lot of cases we see this in the media and in, you know, the sort of just overall discussion of games, that, like, if it's not long enough, people are upset, they don't want to pay the money, and but we've made the argument in the past that shorter games that we actually do finish are sometimes more worthwhile, because you actually see the thing through, and it doesn't get, you know, like, it doesn't get boring, or it doesn't become, you know, like, feel like bloated and become
Yeah.
a chore. Where I can't tell you how many times in my life, not as much now because I have less time and I won't do it, if I'm pushing through a game just to say I finish it, but like, you're not enjoying it. You're just pushing it for the sake of, you know, okay, I beat it, now I can move on. Where it's like,
Yeah.
I've kind of gotten over that at a certain point.
Oh, me too,
You know,
for
I
sure.
probably, when we became adults and realized that the time is a little more limited.
Also, it's not a value
games.
proposition at the end of the day, right? Like,
and that's exactly it. It just
it's
not
about fucking that intelligible splendor of the idea, right?
Yeah,
which is not necessarily related to how much time.
If you're
play,
not bought into it, you're not enjoying it.
Yeah.
There's not really any point, right? And that's why we say, you know, like we've seen the argument that this is like a 15 or 20 hour game. It's bullshit. It's not worth $70. Like, I don't give a fuck about that. Was it worth playing? Did it leave a lasting impression on you? Is it, something that isn't just to, rest your eyes on? It's something that, you taken in and really enjoyed. Then if it's only 15 hours, and what the fuck is the difference, really? It's,
no, for
if
sure.
anything, it can be better because it's maybe more focused and it, there's a lot going on there.
I think it needs to have that fucking proportion between its parts. Otherwise, again, if the point is the fucking idea of the world, right? Like, this maybe even seem a bit wishy-washy, but I think like something like Dark Souls, it's very clear what we mean when we say like the concept of the world is, the whole fucking general thesis, the whole general theme of Souls of like the fucking, this like fucking creation tending towards a godlike state that it fucking just simply can't obtain and always decomposing unto itself over and over again, right? Like, and you fucking participate in that symbolically, like fucking in the gameplay loop, even.
Game,
like
exactly,
there's a perfect proportion between the mechanical and fucking conceptual elements, not to mention the fiction that just fucking is exactly suited to expressing these themes as well, right? The world in the sense of its fucking, its categories and occupants, its metaphysics at the top, and its fucking gameplay expression at the bottom are all this cohesive fucking whole that fit together, and you usually don't feel like it goes on too long. Everything's fucking well measured in those games, although Elden Ring, I might make the argument
Elden
that
Ring
by
is
the end it's
a bit long, but at least in terms of Soul game, it's even, no matter how long it is, whatever it is, it's as you're going through it, it's almost like you're constantly unlocking more of the story, the world, the fiction, and it unravels, right? It doesn't have as much of that sort of like bloaty, and then you feel like
that's for sure,
right? Like, that's just one example.
You at least feel like the fucking gameplay mechanisms and like all the shit you're doing, it is actually helping you understand the concept, the point of the game, like what all of these things are expressing. Whereas when you play a game like fucking Assassin's Creed, whatever its fucking, I'm trying not to be insulting, whatever its concept might be, it fucking, you can't even access it 90% of the time because you're literally drowning in unnecessary matter, right? Yeah. Unnecessary mechanics that are just battering you.
Even like the same enemies over and over, even down to like stupid things like that. Whereas like
it just becomes a mechanical, like a routine thing. You just zonk out. Like, man, I fucking like to do drugs when I play games, and even I don't fucking zone out like that. What kind of frame of mind do you have to be in to just sit there and repeat a mechanical task? Beyond fucking the purpose of attaining any concept. Like,
if you're gonna do that, I might as well like play a fucking multiplayer game or some stupid bullshit. I don't know.
That's why I don't. That's exactly why I don't, right? Like,
that's why I just kind of played Gran Turismo once in a while if I don't want to like be too involved in what I'm doing and just kind of race. But even that, then you get...
It feels like people make their whole gaming experience into like, when you're trying to beat a boss in Dark Souls?
Yeah.
You have a determinate end in mind and you're repeating a fucking task to achieve that end, except they don't have a goal in mind. That's the whole thing. You know what I mean? That's the whole purpose. It's its own justification, right? Like, I don't know.
Very weird. Yeah, I guess I don't consider it like fully necessary to, like I've talked to people in the past who have said like, they buy a game, they'll start and for the most part they'll try and wrap it up before moving on to something else. I'm just not the type of person to even do that. I play like 3 or 4 games at a time. Whichever one takes, right?
Yeah,
I'll
that's exactly
continue playing. Yeah, it's like dabbling, right? I'm always dabbling in something, and then if something really grabs me and it takes, then I'll see it through.
And forcing yourself to play a game is like an arranged marriage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want to fucking, you don't love it, man.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
It's like
you want to be on your deathbed, be like, at least I finished that game I hated, though. You know what I mean? Like
it's like how like it tracks trophies and stuff, and it gives you like a percentage of how many games you finished. And like fuck, mine's probably like 3% because I've played so many damn games, and it's like it's so stupid. Like how you can't possibly finish all of it. You won't like all of them. Like it's just I don't know, silly, right?
But
trophies for reasons like
it makes
that,
sense, like based on all the shit we're saying. What you're saying makes sense based on the definition of fucking, an artwork and fucking your purpose for engaging with it that we just offered, right? You don't fucking play it for a value proposition. You play it because you're reaching for this fucking intelligible form, the purpose of which is to delight you at the very apprehension of it, right?
Yeah.
And the narrative is not necessary to that. It's an instrument of it. So finishing the thing is not required to that purpose. It makes good sense. But supposing you said, well, it is a value proposition. It is literally about me paying money for a subjective experience of pleasure for a certain amount of time, then of course you have to finish your game.
Then of
like
course,
you have to finish
want to finish
your meal at the
paid for
restaurant,
it,
right? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's one way
you have to finish your bus drive to where you're going. Like, it's got like a utilitarian purpose now. It's not really about fucking reveling in the thing. You literally have to get your money's worth, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense in the context we were just talking about. The fuck do you mean your money's worth? You
Exactly,
know?
yeah.
An intelligible concept. What money? What worth, right? It's literally worthless, you know?
Yeah.
It's got no, you can't achieve nothing with it, right?
Priceless, man.
Yeah. But if you instrumentalize the thing to some subjective function like pleasure or value or satisfaction or what have you, right? Like, then yeah, I think we can see why people fucking feel like they have to finish games, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
But it all depends on what you think is, you know, what we're doing when we play them, right?
Yeah, that's interesting.
I get the sensation though that focus on the subjective layer of, you know, like when you're like whatever is going on in the guy's head when he's playing a game, like that fun you're having, right? Like people do think of it this way. They think like, you know, the same way you're taking, like, I want to take 500 milligrams of an edible. They're like, I'd like 500 minutes of gaming this week, please. As though it's just this like thing you inject into yourself. It's not semiotic. Its purpose is whatever effect it has on you, not what you see, right? So that's why I think we get this idea that you have to finish the thing. But if it's not for you, what the fuck do you have to finish?
What's the point? Exactly.
Yeah. Seems to make sense according to that parameters, right? Like, I'm sure lots of the comments on this video, if there are any, they're going to be like, yeah, well, of course you have to do. What are you, fucking rich? You're just wasting your money? It's like, man, it's not about that. Even if you have one game and you're fucking poor, you don't finish it. We're
definitely not rich, and probably the reason is because we buy all these damn video games, so we're still not going to finish them, though. I don't care if I go broke.
Yeah, right.
Still not going to finish them. I'm not going to sell them either.
Fuck, you know, I saw this thing yesterday. Some horse shit, you know, those Facebook quotes when you're scrolling on fucking social media. It's like a quote from some, but it was like this fucking author Echo, and Bordeaux Echo, he said, fucking, the best part about a library is the books you haven't read, bro. It's a resource then, right?
Yeah.
It's exactly like that too. Like, you don't have to fucking finish something to have it in a fucking collection. Its purpose is to be there for access, not for not bragging rights. You know, I did this, right? Like, you know?
Yeah, I beat Sekiro.
Yeah. I did beat Sekiro.
You did, yeah. I didn't. I most certainly didn't.
It was hard. Haven't beaten Elden Ring yet, though.
Yeah, me neither. I might get there one day. Yeah. Trying to get.
It's at that point where you're literally at the last boss. I think for every Souls game, I put it down at that point, bro.
Yeah.
Just the very last boss, and it's just like
that's pretty common for you. It's funny all the shit we're saying about, and I am guilty right now of actually trying to push through Final Fantasy 2, even though I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah, but you have a broader goal in mind, right?
That's the problem there. I set this exactly.
You're doing a fucking Final Fantasy.
I'm trying to go through as many of them as I can.
Yeah,
so
academic study, practically.
I should really be like taking more detailed notes and writing things down, but.
Fucking A, buddy.
We'll see. Make it a pet project or something. Good times.
Fuck, the first time I did this boss, it caught me up for a while.
Yeah?
This time it's not so hard.
Nice.
Yeah, that's I think that makes some good sense, you know?
Yeah.
It's not bad to finish games, but it's not necessary to the purpose of appreciating or the purpose of engaging with them in the first place, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And at the end of the day, just if you're not having fun or you're not enjoying it, it's not speaking to them.
It's not beautiful, then stop it. Yeah. Then it's just work, bro.
Then exactly.
It's a value proposition.
The hell?
It's like calories or fucking energy for your car, right? Like, that's not how it is, you know?
No.
You don't need to drip feed your gaming quotient, right? Like.
Yeah. Spawn deceased.
Yeah.
Fucking A, bud.
I think that's pretty good. What do you say we fucking cap it off there? No need to finish a game if it's fucking if its concept is clear to you beforehand, or if it's clear to you the concept isn't worth finishing for.
Right? That's a good way of putting it too.
Yeah. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Next week we're gonna be back to play some Xenoblade 3
and Baron Breakfast.
Sure. Buddy. I'm not sure which one I'm gonna pick up first, to be honest.
It'll be interesting to see, but we'll make it a game time decision.
Yeah, seriously. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in, and take care of yourselves.
Fuck yeah.